What up, y'all? Welcome back to I'm Just Saying Sports. Today, we're going to get into the NFC free agency. Now, before I get into it, of course, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell your people to holler at me, because I'm out here. All right? So, the NFC, man. We're going to start in the NFC East. Now, Dallas Cowboys, y'all didn't do shit, so I'm going to just go ahead and skip right over y'all, man. That shit is disappointing. Talk about all in. Y'all saw the Skip Bayless tweet, man, but I'm going to go ahead and move on. New York Giants. Didn't do much. They got, again, backup quarterback. They got Drew Lock. They got Devin Singletary from the, I believe, the Chicago Bears. But nothing really. I mean, they got some offensive line help, but nothing crazy outside of that trade for Brian Burns. Nothing crazy. Philadelphia Eagles, again, backup quarterback, Kenny Pickett. They had one of the splash moves to the offseason in signing Saquon Barkley. That was a huge surprise to me. And I know a lot of people probably thought that Dallas Cowboys was going to go after Saquon or he was going to get re-signed to the Giants, but that didn't happen. So Philadelphia Eagles had actually a pretty good fucking free agency, if I'm being honest, man. They addressed that defense with, like I said, bringing back CJ Gardner-Johnson. They signed Devin White, linebacker, and they got some defensive help there because their defense just absolutely fucking sucked last year. Washington Commanders, again, backup quarterback, signed Marcus Mariota. Outside of that, they signed a lot of aging guys. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they just signing them for depth or they just know the name and just went for the name, because Austin Eckler, he's great, but he is losing the steps. So we'll see what happens on that. Zach Ertz, he's old, man. He's been bounced around, and he was looking for an easy way to get to a ring last year, it seemed like, when he went to the Philadelphia Eagles, but they fell off. So I don't know what they're doing. They made a lot of moves. I'm not gonna lie about that. They made a lot of signings, but I just don't know how effective these guys are going to be for years to come. I mean, you probably got like 1 year out of a lot of these guys. On to the NFC North. Obviously, the Chicago Bears. They got rid of Justin Fields. Mixed reviews on that, but they did get a lot of guys that's going to help Caleb Williams. They traded for Keenan Allen. He's a little older, a little long in the tooth, but he's still productive. He had the most receptions of his career last season. They got DeAndre Swift from the Philadelphia Eagles. He signed a 3-year deal. That's a good move. That's a solid move. They shored up. They trying to shore up that offensive line because Justin Fields was getting destroyed. He got sacked 99 times the past 2 seasons. That's a lot. That is a lot. So they shore up that offensive line. They're doing everything they can to help Caleb Williams, who was the projected number 1 overall pick. They got Kevin Byard. They got him after he got released from the Philadelphia Eagles. So 2-year contract. So they got some guys. They made some good moves. I think Philly had a good not Philly, but Chicago had a good offseason and free agency signings, because they did. I'm not gonna say they went all in, but they going for it. They going for it, and they should definitely be in the playoff run or the playoff hunt, at least at some point late in the season this season. Detroit Lions, not much of note here, but they did make some moves here. They got some offensive line help for sure, because they need that. I mean, it could be depth, it could be starting, but they needed some offensive line help. That defense, they need to really shore up that defense. I know they traded for Carlton Davis, but they need some help because that secondary last year was garbage. So hopefully they can draft some guys. Look at a guy from Toledo, my alma mater, Quinion Mitchell, I believe. One of the top corners in this draft coming up. So they need to address that, but they just didn't really address it as much as I thought they would in the free agency. Green Bay Packers, not much there. They let go of some guys, but they did sign Josh Jacobs to that 4-year deal. I don't know if it's going to be the entire 4 years. It may be 1 or 2 voided years there. But they did get Josh Jacobs. That was a surprise to me as well, because I thought he was going to actually stay with the Raiders. They was going to find a way to figure that out. Minnesota Vikings, again, they got Aaron Jones from the rival Green Bay Packers, because that was a surprising release. I think even to Aaron Jones. So he went on to the Minnesota Vikings. And then again, the same concept of backup quarterback, Sam Darnold, signs with the Minnesota Vikings. He probably won't be a backup. He'll probably be the starter because they don't really have anybody. But he only signed a 1-year deal. So we'll see what he looks like in that offense. They got couple of guys on offensive line. One re-signing David Queensberry. They got some defensive line for sure. They upgraded the defensive line help, but nobody that's like, that stands out significantly. That's going to say, oh, okay, Jonah Williams is solid, but Blake Cashman, good linebacker. So, but they lost Danielle Hunter. So, this is kind of a wash with their defensive line. Now to the NFC South, Atlanta Falcons. We all know Kirk Cousins decided to sign with the Atlanta Falcons. That's going to really, really help that young group of receivers, and Bijan Robinson, the running back, is going to really help that offense. They went out and got Ray McLeod, Kadarius Hodge, Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore, a bunch of Jags, to be honest. But it helps with depth, and they're veteran guys, and they can show guys like Drake London the ropes on how to be a professional. On to the Carolina Panthers. They did trade for Deontay Johnson, and they are trying to shore up that offensive line because Bryce Young was getting destroyed. And as small as Bryce Young is, he doesn't need to take that many hits, man. That's ridiculous. These teams need to really understand that they need to shore up these offensive lines before drafting a young quarterback, because you're going to destroy him, and he's going to be a wasted pick. And it's not going to be his fault necessarily. But I'm glad that they did address the offensive line, Damian Lewis, Robert Hunt, guys like that. And I hope they can address it more in the draft. But they need depth, as much depth as they can get in that offensive line. New Orleans Saints, it just came out yesterday that they got Chase Young. They signed him to a 1-year, $13 million deal. Got a backup quarterback in Nathan Peterman. They re-signed Tyrann Mathieu, Honey Badger. So they made some decent moves. Now, the quarterback situation is where they're going to falter, because I just don't believe in Derek Carr anymore. He just hasn't proven anything. And there's a reason why the Raiders got rid of him. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, obviously we know that they re-signed Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. Huge deal for them. They got a backup in John Wolford, but I don't know if that's not going to really do anything. They got Jordan Whitehead, and they re-signed, they tagged Antoine Winfield, and they re-signed their kicker Chase McLaughlin. So they had a solid offseason. They got their quarterback. They locked him up. They locked up their star receiver for another 2 years. So they did good. They did good. They did what they needed to do. But I think that division is going to be a little bit more competitive. So they might need to make 1 or 2 more moves to actually solidify themselves as repeat division winners next year or this season. On to the NFC West. Now, the Arizona Cardinals, again, backup quarterback. A lot of these quarterbacks who were younger quarterbacks who were high draft picks, and we thought they was going to be starters, and there was a possibility that they were going to be franchise guys. They're backups. Desmond Ridder was traded to the Arizona Cardinals. He's going to be a backup. They addressed that offensive line as well with Tristan Colon. They re-signed him. Keith Ismail, they re-signed him. Elijah Wilkinson, re-signed him. Jonah Williams, he got signed to a 2-year deal. So they made some moves on that offensive line. And again, very needed, because Kyler Murray, he's always looking like he's running around like a chicken with his head cut off. So hopefully that offensive line can keep him upright, and he'll be good to go. They got Sean Murphy Bunting, cornerback. That's a solid move. They signed Matt Wilson, good veteran, solid veteran, was drafted from by the Browns, went on to the Patriots, had a solid career there, and I'm sure he'll continue that out there in Arizona. He's not a world beater, but he's very solid, and he's good in the leadership in the locker room. Los Angeles Rams, again, backup quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. Got a 1-year deal, so he's going to back up Matt Stafford, who tends to get injured. So we may see Jimmy Garoppolo on the field here and there this season, but nothing too much. They signed Darius Williams, cornerback, to a 3-year deal, but outside of that, it was mostly they had a couple of offensive linemen and the tight end, but nothing too crazy. San Francisco 49ers, again, they went in on the backup quarterback because they signed they re-signed one, and they signed Josh Dobbs to a 1-year deal. Now, we saw Josh Dobbs, what he can do last year with the Minnesota Vikings. He had some magic there, and then it kind of fizzled out. But that's a good sign. That's a solid signing. They got a couple of offensive linemen, but they really went in on the defense. They really went in on the defense and signing all these guys. Leonard Floyd, Jordan Elliott, who else? Devondre Campbell. Like, they signed a lot of guys to help that defense. So maybe, like I said, it sounds like a lot of depth, but we'll see. Seattle Seahawks, again, backup quarterback. They traded for Sam Howell. Once Sam Howell realized he ain't gonna be the guy, they traded for Sam Howell. They signed Pharaoh Brown, re-signed Noah Fant, signed George Fant, Nick Harris, that center, great center. He was supposed to be the starting center in Cleveland, but he got hurt and Poaches took his spot. But he's still a solid player. So that's actually a good signing. We're gonna and that actually wraps it up, man. That actually wraps it up. I thought it was gonna be a little longer, but that wraps it up, man. That's been the NFC free agency signings and re-signings. Let me know what you guys think. Are you happy with what your team did? Are you happy with any team did? Are you nervous? Is there a team in your division that made some signings that, man, you wish you could have signed, your team would have signed? Let me know, man. Hit me in the comments. Again, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell your people to holler at me, because I'm out here. Peace.